Hello, it's Dawn Michelle with Boho Tarot, and I am here today to do an unboxing of the Hedgewitch Botanical Oracle by Siolo Thompson. So this is a deck that I wasn't really planning on getting. However, I did get the Linestrider Tarot in a trade last month, and I've been really enjoying working with this deck. And I knew that there was a companion oracle for it, and I kind of went back and forth about whether or not I wanted to get that. The Linestrider Tarot has this really, if you haven't seen it before, it has this really minimalistic artwork. It's really soft and kind of watercolory, and it has a lot of white space, which I really am enjoying about this deck. And it's a beautiful aesthetic, and I have been pairing this deck recently. With the Botanical Inspirations cards. Now, I really like this oracle. I mentioned it in my March wrap-up. It's been an oracle that I've been using quite a bit. Now, as much as I love working with this deck, I wasn't so much loving working with this deck with these cards. And I was going through my oracles looking for an oracle to support this deck, and I didn't really have anything that had a similar aesthetic or that really worked well with it from a strictly visual point of view. So I'm a very visual person, so I really like for my cards to complement each other aesthetically. That is just, it's important to me, so it's an important part of my practice. So as much as I was really enjoying working with these cards, and of course we'll continue to because I really do love this deck, it wasn't really working for me with the Linestrider Tarot. And as the Linestrider Tarot is the deck that I was planning on working with quite a bit in April. It's one of my April decks. I really wanted an oracle that was going to support it well. So I went ahead and got the Hedgewitch Botanical because I thought, well, what a more perfect match than the oracle created by the same artist. So let's go ahead and take a peek at the Hedgewitch Botanical Oracle. So it comes in your typical Llewellyn box. It's a beautiful box, but I'm not a fan. The cards are difficult to store. We all know how that goes. It has the little ribbon, and the book lies inside here. And then here we have the cards. Now this is the thing I don't like about these old style, or these Llewellyn boxes, is that, you know, the cards just kind of hang out in here. So as beautiful as this box is, and it does look really beautiful on a shelf, it is not a box that I will hang on to. So we're gonna go ahead and move this out of the way. So here we have the beautiful book and the cards. So here, let's just take a quick peek at the card backs. They are really beautiful. I really like that pattern. So let's take a quick peek through the guidebook. So we have a little bit about the author here, beautiful little illustration, your typical contents, an introduction. So let's just go ahead and read the little bit of the introduction just so that we can have kind of an idea of what we're getting into. So it says, "Welcome to the Hedgewitch Botanical Oracle. This collection of 40 botanical cards draws inspiration from the grimoires of head witches, wise folk who walk the thin spaces between the worlds. In this book, you will find descriptions of the plants illustrated on the cards, where to find them, and how they were used in past times, and in the ways in which we still employ them. Each lovingly illustrated card in the deck includes an oracle property that can provide guidance to a seeker or meditative focus to a querent." So that's really beautiful introduction about sort of the gist of this deck. She talks a little bit about here how the deck was inspired by her own quest to become more knowledgeable about the plants around her. So we have a bit more of the introduction, nice little illustrations here in between, how to use the cards so they can be used as an oracle deck or flashcards with the book as a study guide. I, of course, will be using it as an oracle deck. You know, it also talks about using them for meditation and divination. So here's a little interesting section on foraging and plant use. So it talks about when you go out to find plants in the wild. I think that's probably important if you were going to be using this as a field guide. I will not, because I won't be going out and foraging plants, but it will be interesting to see how that, as I go out on, you know, my walks and things like that, to see if I start to notice the different types of plants having, you know, worked with this deck. So then we have the start of the cards, and then we have a nice, big, beautiful illustration of the card image. I really like this. This makes it really easy if you want to sit down and just read a guidebook. I love guidebooks that I can just take the book and go and sit and read about the card, and I still have the big beautiful illustration so I can see what the artist is referring to. I wish that every guidebook was like this, because I like to sit and read my guidebooks all the way through, and I don't necessarily want to have to hang on to the cards or tote them around with me as I'm reading my way through a book. So I really appreciate this. I think this is a wonderful layout for a guidebook. Oh, we also have a little illustration here of the plant and some more information about the plant itself, and then we have the other names and oracle properties. I think that this makes it a definitely a usable guidebook, like one that you could easily find yourself pulling from. So we just have the rest of the cards here, and it looks like we have maybe some closing thoughts. It says, working with these amazing plants over the last few years has been a great gift in my life, and I hope that I've been able to share some of that joy with you as well, dear reader. Oh, that's really beautiful. So, send suggested reading. Oh, and we have some recipes, things to make for spring. Well, that's just perfect this time of year. Spring tonic, little ingredients, Mostara salve, some toast, some pesto. So this is really interesting. So this is a really great little guidebook. I'm actually pretty excited to dig into this and sit down and read it. I think it's going to be really probably helpful to working with this oracle, especially when it comes time to, pull in those deeper messages with the readings. So now let's go ahead and take a look at these beautiful cards. So again, we have the beautiful card backs. So we have Bearberry for strength, Blackberry for adaptation, Borage for courage. There is the plant name on here, the scientific plant name. I'm not going to try to pronounce that because I'll just slaughter it. Burdock for tenacity, Caldula for brighten. I may mispronounce some of the plant names as well. Cattail for build, Chamomile for soothe, Chicory for sustain, Clover for nurture, Cohosh for repel, Dandelion for humility, Daylily for ephemeral, Dogwood for defend, Elder for ritual, Fern for growth, Foxglove for connection, Garlic for service, Ghost Pipe for mystery, interesting, Golden Poppy for dream, Hawthorn for sacred, Hollyhock for abundance, Huckleberry for resourcefulness, Indigo for enhance, Juniper for invigorate, Lady's Mantle for magic, oh, that's beautiful, Marshmallow for adversity, Morale for regenerate, Nettle for tribulation, Pine for preserve, Plantain for nourish, Wild Rose for clarity, Rowan for protection, Sage for purify, Salve for subdue, Samphire for adventure, St. John's wort for stabilize, Strawberry for enjoy, Trout lily for patience, Violet for attract, Wormwood for caution. So those are really beautiful. So you can see that, like the Linestrider, there is a lot of white space, a lot of gray inked lines, which I really like, just with those pops of color. I think that looks really beautiful. So let's pull just one card, and then we'll do a quick check at the message, and then maybe we'll see. I love the way this Llewellyn cardstock shuffles. I know some people don't like it, but this Llewellyn cardstock is just so satisfying to shuffle. I love it. I love shuffling the Linestrider too. So let's pull a card and see our message. So we have chicory for sustain. So let's look up chicory. So here we have the beautiful full color image, so we don't really even need the card, but we'll just go ahead and stick it right there since we're doing the reading. So there's quite a bit of information here about the plant itself, so I'm not going to go ahead and read all of this. It talks about where you can find it, and then we get into the oracle properties here. So let's go ahead and read that. The oracle property sustain speaks to the usefulness and availability, let's cover that, of chicory during difficult times. Cows, horses, sheep, rabbits, and even poultry and field fowl take important nutrients from this plant. Chicory is an example of how one organism can sustain another, so I like to think of it in relation to a person's role in the community. You may not always have the best skill set, the right answer, or resources to share, but we can all contribute and support to those around us. Sometimes that just means being there in a difficult moment, listening, moving furniture, or simply holding space for others. Do what you can to sustain others, and you will find others will do the same for you. The Six of Pentacles in a tarot deck speaks to charity, community giving, and the need to sustain one another. You may find yourself on the giving or receiving end of this equation, so try to handle either position with grace. So it's interesting that it relates back to the tarot deck. I kind of like that. I wonder if all of the cards do that. Most of the fives, yeah, looks like maybe it does. So that was a beautiful little message for chicory. So let's just do for fun, let's do a quick poll with these just to see how they look together, since that was the whole reason that I bought these. Yep, see, love shuffling this deck. I'm going to start things off with the Fool and New Beginnings, the Five of Pentacles, and the Page of Swords. And then let's see how it looks when we pull in one of our oracle cards. And here we get Lady's Mantle for Magic. Oh, see, now those just, yep, they just look really beautiful together, like, you know, like they were meant to be. So I think I really am gonna like working with these two decks together. I was a little bit worried about the enormous use of white space because the tarot deck has white space and the oracle has a lot of white space, but I think it's gonna work really beautifully together. I also think that this deck, because of this white space here, I'll just lay out a few cards. I think that because of this white space and the sort of minimalistic design, I think that it's going to pair really beautifully with a lot of other decks as well. I'm not simply going to be using this, you know, only with my Linestrider. I will be using it with other decks as well. I did go ahead and get it specifically to use with this deck, but I think it's going to be a deck that's going to work beautifully with all kinds of other decks as well. Given the aesthetics of it, I think it's going to work beautifully. So I'm really excited to dive in deeper to this deck and to sit and give this book a little read, because I think that's going to be an interesting read. So thank you for joining me for this unboxing of the Hedgewitch Botanical Oracle. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon for more creative tarot for an inspired life.